Of course, you know that Misty is one of the quintessential jazz ballads, and so it makes it a great kind of play place for reharmonization. So let's dive in. I want to show you how we'd go about applying some of the concepts that we talked about. So first of all, just to refresh your memory, I'm going to play you the original A section to Misty. All right, I hope that sounds familiar to a lot of you. Let's dive in and let's look at some additions, substitutions, subtractions that we might make. So first and easiest type of reharmonization is putting in some tritone subs. So we only can put in tritone subs for dominant chords. So I'm gonna get rid of this E flat 7 and I'm gonna put in an A7 alt. And that alt is kind of important here because we have the sharp 9, flat 9, and flat 5. So listen for the difference. Here's the original. Totally lovely. Or here's with the tritone sub. Makes you stand up or sit up a little straighter, right? How about in this next dominant chord, for this next dominant chord, we will put in the original plus the tritone sub. So we're gonna do D flat 7 and then G7 alt. Let's see how that sounds. Yeah, not bad. It's a little bit weird because it's not like a 5 chord leading to a 1, but I still like the colors that it's creating. And for our third dominant chord, this B flat 7, let's turn it into a 2-5 instead of just a 5. And we do actually have the 2 in front of it already. So this is actually gonna also just feel like a delay because we're just lengthening out that F minor 7 chord. So okay, nothing earth-shattering, but it certainly works. Circling back to the beginning, let's use our common tone diminished here. So remember, that's a way to delay the resolution to a major chord. So instead of E flat major, we're going to use E flat diminished 7th, and then that's going to lead to E flat major 7th. And it's going to be especially nice because that 7th in the melody is going to add a lot of color. So okay. Let's pretend that you didn't like that and you want to do something else there. Another thing that you might do is use a tonicization. So we could put a B flat 7 here, and then that will lead to the E flat major 7 as well. That's nice, but maybe you don't feel like that has quite enough shock value or color. We could replace that one with a tritone sub. So we're gonna do E7. That's kind of cool. Just for the fun of it, let's put a tonicization in front of that E7. So B7 would lead to E7. That's gonna have a sharp 9 because it's gonna come with that D natural. So we got okay, maybe. Again, you have to use your taste with this and figure out, is it actually effective? Is it not as effective? Maybe you're not into delaying that chord, but you do want to add a little bit of extra motion within that measure. Here's something you could do. You could start with that E flat major 7, move to E7, and then go back to E flat major 7. Right? How are we getting that E7? That's the tonicization plus tritone sub. It's the dominant chord a half step above. I do this kind of thing all the time. Think of it like a neighbor tone, right? In a neighbor tone, you go a half step away from the note and then you come back. Here, we're going a half step away from the harmony and coming back. So kind of nice. Where else could we put something like that in? Well, maybe we want to create a little bit of motion around this E flat 7, for instance. It wouldn't do that much to make it into a 2/5 because we'd just be adding a beat of B flat minor 7. So we could do another tonicization. And if you're not already noticing, tonicization is probably the device that I use the most. So here we'd have, instead of that nice progression, now we have more movement. Makes it pretty nice. We could actually do the same thing here. I'm gonna delay this B flat minor to beat 2, and I'm gonna put an F7 with a flat 13 because of that D flat on beat 1. So pretty cool. So you can see that using tonicizations and tritone subs and combinations of all these things, there's almost unlimited possibilities to the way we could harmonize this. One device that we haven't used yet is sidesteps, or sidestep 2/5. So let me show you a couple places where we could put those in. So first of all, it doesn't really seem logical that we could add a sidestep to this A flat major 7 because we have this C in the melody, and our 2 chords where we would sidestep to would be A major, which definitely doesn't accommodate a C, or G major, which also definitely doesn't accommodate a C. But if we shorten this melody note, this is actually a really nice place to add a sidestep. So I'm not necessarily holding out that melody, but I'm adding in an A major chord, or G major. Really nice and colorful in a different way than our tonicizations. I actually might add in a sidestep on both sides here, because it's just kind of fun. It's like an enclosure, but with chords, with big major 7th chords on either side. So I'm going A flat, A major, G major, A flat. Now, if I did want to find some places where the sidestep actually works with the melody, we could lead in to this C minor 7 here using a D flat minor 7. That A flat and B flat fit pretty nicely with the D flat minor 7. So here we are also putting in a smooth stepwise bass line, walking down from E flat to D flat to C. Let's hear how it sounds in context. That might or might not be to your taste, but it does work nicely with the melody. Now in the bridge, we start having some really great opportunities for sidesteps and sidestep 2/5s. So in the first measure of the bridge, we could go from a B minor 7 to a B flat minor 7. That D flat in the melody, or a C sharp, will be the 9th of the B minor 7, just like it is the 3rd of the B flat minor 7. So really nice. That's a really common note to put in as a sidestep when we have that 3rd of a minor 7th chord. We could also use the sidestep 2/5 here. So instead of having just a B flat minor to E flat 7, we could go B, E, B flat, E flat, and we do have the flat 9th in the melody there. So that sounds like this. I think it's nice. Here's another spot, if we don't do that, where we could put in a really nice sidestep. We could put in an A major here to lead in to the A flat major. Notice I'm always looking ahead. How could we accommodate? How could we set up the next chord that's coming up? Pretty cool. Or here's one more moment where we could use a sidestep 2/5. Instead of just having G minor to C, it could be a really kind of quick cadence. A flat, D flat, G minor, C7. So okay. So you're not going to be able to put a sidestep everywhere that you might want, because unlike dominant chords, our major and minor chords that you might use to sidestep with are not necessarily going to fit as well with the melody. But there are a lot of places, if you're really savvy and you're watching out for it, that you can use sidesteps. and they will be very colorful. As we look at these different ballad examples and different ballad styles, you're going to be seeing a lot of reharmonization. And so it's definitely worth your time to get familiar with all of these reharmonization devices and practice using them on some of your favorite tunes.